Oh, hello there. I'll be with you in just one moment. Welcome to the library. I called you here today to share with you a project I will be embarking on. This project will take dedication. It will be challenging, and I'll be documenting it all on this channel. This project is the 3 Year MMO. Now I'm sure the first question you have for me is, what is the 3 Year MMO? Well, in a most basic sense, it's building an MMORPG over the course of 3 years with minimal funding. Now you may say to yourself, Mr. Red Wizard, that's impossible. Even older MMOs like Vanilla World of Warcraft cost millions to make. But what if I told you something like this has been done before? You may have guessed by the music in the background what it is that I'm referring to. If not, then let me take you back to the magical year of 1999. This is the year that 3 brothers set out on a quest similar to my own. These were Andrew Gower, Ian Gower, and Paul Gower. They had some experience already making multi-user dungeon games or MUD games. These games were the text-based precursors to the modern MMO. Some of the most well-known, like Aardwolf and Batmud, are still going to this day. The one the Gowers made, which included basic graphics, was known as Devious Mud. It only ever existed in the public sphere as a brief beta in March of 1999. But what it spawned would become legendary. After the beta, the Gowers pushed their project further. They rewrote it into a browser game with full graphics and click-based movement that would release in January of 2001. This game was RuneScape. This version became known as RuneScape Classic after the game was rebuilt in 2004. This rebuilt RuneScape 2 would form the basis of what is now old school RuneScape. RuneScape was one of my favorite games during my childhood. It continues to be one of the most active MMORPGs in the world in 2026, both in RuneScape 3 and old school. Though due to many technical problems, Classic had to be shut down in 2018. Rest in peace, you legend. The amazing thing is RuneScape Classic was developed over the course of 2 years by 3 guys and no budget. I want to follow in their footsteps, though I'm giving myself an extra year because I don't have a dedicated 3-man dev team. The caveat to this is I will be using some plugins and asset packs to cover for the fact that I'm terrible at art and music. The programming will be done by me with some assistance from tutorials. My biggest challenge for this project will be a server authoritative architecture. In less technical terms, the server controls the game, the player clients are just there to show you the results of what the server decides. This is mainly to stop cheating and is a staple of how MMOs work. As far as software goes, I'll be using Unreal Engine 5 to build the game. I know that'll get me some complaints, but it's the engine I'm most familiar with. I already know how to make it talk to an SQL database, which is where all the world state and player data would be stored. Given I have a time limit, I want to stick with something that I know, and Blueprints is a great tool for rapid prototyping of systems. As for the database, it'll start on SQLite because it's easier to develop on for a small scale. It'll then get migrated to a MySQL database, which would be able to handle a larger player count. I'm not entirely sure what language I'll be using to create the server program. I'm currently thinking a C# server, as I have some examples to help me figure out how to build my own that'll work with Unreal Engine and MySQL. Now I'm sure you're pondering, what objectives would I need to hit for this to be considered a success? Well, if RuneScape Classic is my benchmark, then the game had the following. A quest system with 50 quests. A map 2 kilometers wide and 1.5 kilometers tall with dungeons on top of that. An in-game world map and minimap system. 18 skills that can be leveled all the way to 99. 1,290 unique items. A stat system and a very rudimentary combat system. It barely had any attack animations. 221 enemy types. Though some of those were higher level versions of existing enemies. 438 unique NPCs, a basic character customization system, a banking or item storage system, a player-to-player trading system, an account system with sign-ups and logins, and a server with a capacity for 2,500 total players. This list of objectives will be the scope for my project. If I am to succeed, I must avoid exceeding the scope until I've finished every objective, otherwise I run into feature creep. If I do manage to get all of this together, I might have some spare time. If that's the case, I will decide on some stretch goals to add onto the game. I have the story all figured out already from a fantasy world that I've been building for the last 18 years or so. I also have ideas as to where I'm going to take the mechanics and skill systems, which are going to diverge a bit from how RuneScape works. I'm not here to just copy RuneScape one-to-one, I do want to innovate my own product. That said, I will be taking inspiration from other MMOs since there's no point trying to reinvent the wheel. Just like the Gower brothers likely drew influence from other MUD games and existing MMOs like Ultima Online, which released in 1997. That completes the main parts of what I wanted to get into in this introduction to the project. This next section is going to be a bit of a Q&A. If you have any further questions about the project, feel free to leave them in the comments. Question 1. Can I play this game when you finished it? This is going to seem like a bit of a lame answer, but I don't know. Assuming I complete the challenge, it'll depend on if I have funds to afford servers. Back when RuneScape Classic came out, hosting servers on personal computers wasn't a big deal. These days it gets you doxed and swatted. I'd rather rent out some servers instead. Unfortunately, servers aren't cheap, so if the project is doing well and people are interested, I might open up some form of crowdfunding. That might be Ko-Fi or Patreon or a Kickstarter, I don't know yet. I might set up a system where if you're in a higher donation tier, you can attend private alpha tests, but that all depends on how well this series does to drum up interest. There's also a lot more regulations I have to consider when it comes to user and account safety than there were back in 1999. And to be legally compliant with those regulations, it would potentially cost even more money. If worst comes to worst, I might license out the game to people who want to host their own versions of it. There's options. If people want to play this, I want to give them that chance. Question 2. Will this game use AI? For programming in 3D models, no. Using AI for code feels like it defeats the purpose of the challenge, and I have asset packs for 3D models that, even at their most basic, are better than what AI can produce at this time. Art and music gets a bit more tricky though. If people out there want to do some art and music for my game as a passion project, I'd gladly accept as long as it's stylistically consistent with existing assets. Ultimately, I'd prefer to pay for them, which is another good use for crowdfunding. But I'll have little choice if I can't get the funds to commission and I can't find free or low-cost licenses to achieve what I need. If it comes down to a last resort, I'd rather use AI than leave those areas of the game completely unfinished. Though in the case of music, I could skip it while remaining in scope since RuneScape Classic didn't have any music. All the classic songs you're familiar with and that featured in this video didn't come until RuneScape 2 in 2004. I won't be doing AI voices though. I'll be taking the approach that early WoW, RuneScape and Final Fantasy XIV did. If I can go in and backfill with real voice actors later, I will, but to start it will be entirely voiceless. Question 3. What will the combat system be like? I know this is inspired by RuneScape, but I'm more thinking tab target combat with WASD movement. As for classes, I have some ideas about what I'm terming a composite class system. You'll learn abilities from using specific weapon types and leveling up skills. Then you build a loadout based on those abilities and that will form your class, with some abilities synergizing better than others. This is something that could change depending on programming challenges and time pressure, but I'm cautiously optimistic. Either way, it's more in depth than RuneScape Classic was, but I think it's in scope, especially with Unreal Engine 5's GAS or gameplay ability system. Question 4. Will there be PvP? I don't plan for it to be a core feature. I am strongly considering adding a dueling system as the first stretch goal once the main scope is complete. I know RuneScape Classic had PvP baked in, but I've shifted the scope priority to a more well-rounded combat system. Also, I was someone who never really enjoyed PvP, so I'm not going to be good at balancing that kind of thing. If a more in-depth PvP system does come in after scope has been achieved, it'll likely be Battlegrounds or Frontline style. Maybe open world PvP specific worlds? That is a huge maybe though. I don't plan for it at current time, and main worlds will be 100% not open world PvP. Question 5. How often will we be getting devlogs? If the schedule holds, every 2 weeks. I'm terrible at editing as it stands, so it takes me a while to put together a video. If I tried putting out videos any faster, it could have the effect of cutting into dev time, and I can't afford to hire an editor. But if I get better and faster at it, I could up the rates of videos or make supplementary shorts for minor milestones. Expectation should be every 2 weeks for now though. Sixth and final question. What's the start and end dates for this project? If everything goes to plan, it will start January 5th, 2026 and end January 5th, 2029 at midnight UTC. I did want to do January 1st, but Christmas being what it is, it delayed things. This whole video was made in Unreal Engine, by the way. I know I probably could have done it in editing software, but I wanted to see if I could do this kind of thing in Engine. Thought it would be fun, and it definitely let me test out my dialogue system. Probably unnecessarily extended the production time. I am happy with how it's turned out for my very first video though. Anyway, I hope this caught your interest enough to follow along with the project. And if you like this idea, give the video a like. Comment about how much my code sucks. And subscribe now so in 3 years you can brag about how you were here since day one. I'll see you on January 19th for the first full devlog. Let's get to work.